Hello everyone, I'm Awful here. With this video I want to kind of share with you my latest Stamina Nightblade build, the Chimera. Now this is by far the sexiest build that I've ever made. Stamina Nightblades have been the class that I've enjoyed the least up until now, and mind, I've been playing this game ever since day one on Xbox One. The reason why I never liked them that much is the fact that they're very squishy. Yes, they're very bursty, but they've never been very survivable. With this build and the previous one, I've really started to enjoy this class. And even though I love the vicious build, in fact, it's the kind of build that I would go for in a no CP campaign or in Battlegrounds. This is definitely my first choice when it comes to CP campaign. You can make it work in a non-CP campaign, changing gear a little bit and maybe changing glyphs on your jewelry, but still a CP environment is where this build shines. Now I've called it Chimera because just like the mythological animal, this one too combines in itself 3 animals as well, as we're going to see in a moment. It combines the Senshi of the Senshi set together with the bear of Selene and also Viper of the Viper Sting set. But before we get on with the gear and everything else, let me just show you my stats. Now, fully buffed, almost 3k weapon damage, almost 1300 magicka recovery and 2500 stamina recovery. Then I've got a very comfortable 21k health and almost 30k stamina with a weapon crit of almost 50%. Now I've got all my points into stamina, and I'm still a vampire, and I'm still using the jewels of Misrule. In fact, if you found it comfortable to fight with a lower health threshold, I would recommend using another type of food, Honest Lassie tea, that gives you better sustain with magicka and stamina, but it doesn't give you any health bonuses. So in that particular case, the stats would look like this. Okay, so you get better sustain but less health, which I don't fancy too much, especially when I'm fighting in 1vx situations and or when I'm simply outnumbered when I'm playing solo. So these are the stats. Let's take a look now at my gear. Now I'm running, as I said, 2 5-piece sets. I've got Senshi on my back bar, which I activate with a defending bow, and then on the front bar I've got Viper. Now Viper, I know it's probably one of the most hated sets in the game at the moment because of its proc. Now I'm not one to play dirty, but I am one to play with the tools that I'm given, and especially in CP campaign, heavy armor is still quite common, and as a Stamina Nightblade, again, my survivability is not that great, so I need to make sure that I get the kill when I engage in as little time as possible. Now, the reason why on my back bar I use Senshi is because, well, let's face it, Senshi is such a great set. Gives me stam recovery, weapon critical, maximum stamina, and then the awesome 5th piece bonus. When you use roll dodge, your weapon damage is increased by 415, and weapon critical rating as well is increased by 657. So when I do this, and when my arms glow, that's it. I get all of that wonderful bonus for a few seconds, for 5 seconds. which is more than enough. So what I normally tend to do is, before engaging, I roll dodge, then light attack and poison injection, then I swap to my front bar and then gap close and proc Viper, and then if I'm lucky, proc my third set, which is Celine. Okay, it not only gives you max stam, but it gives you that massive burst damage to the nearest enemy in front of you. Now I'm wearing full 7 medium pieces. I've got triglyphs on head and chest, not so much on my legs, since already I am at a very comfortable 21k health. I'm wearing mostly impen apart from my head, which is reinforced simply because that's what my RNG has given me. But my chest, because I'll be doing a lot of roll dodging my chest, and I think my legs as well are well fitted. Everything else is impenetrable. So I've got 2 pieces Senshi, 2 rings and 1 necklace. You could, and then the other 2 pieces of Senshi are obviously my chest and my bow on the back bar, and then everything else is Viper. It doesn't matter how you arrange it, as long as you've got Senshi on your back bar and Viper on your front bar. Now when it comes to consumables, they're always more or less the same. Let me just get them up. Slottable items, right? So Jewels of Misrule as my food. Then I've got tri-stat pots. I've got the usual Essence of Immovability, the one that restores Magicka and that reveals stealthed players. And then Essence of Invisibility that grants movement speed as well. Now for my poisons, now my back bar, this is kind of a flexible spot. You can run a poison, you cannot run a poison. It all depends on what you prefer. Here I run a double damage poison, and then on my front bar I have got an entrapping poison, unlike the vicious build. This because when Celine procs, the bear molds down after a fraction of a second, something like that. It's not immediate damage. So because there is a bit of an animation going on there, it's easily dodgeable. But if you continually with like attacks as you fight, you have a chance to paralyze your victim for 3.5 seconds, which renders them completely vulnerable to Celine. So that's why I'm running this on my front bar. I continue to apply it with my light attack weave. Now, as far as my skills are concerned, here they are: Mass Hysteria, Rally, Ambush, Surprise Attack as usual, Reverse Slice. Now, in my previous build video, I've mentioned an alternative to Reverse Slice, which is where is it? Yeah, Assassin's Blade. Now, this is obviously a very good alternative. It costs less, but it's less forgiving, since you can really do massive damage when your opponent's health falls below 25% rather than 50%. But something that I had not taken into consideration is the fact that when you execute someone with a two-hand ability, you enjoy this passive battle rush that increases your stamina recovery by 30% for 10 seconds after killing a target. So this is why I kind of recant what I said earlier in my previous build video and would rather go with Reverse Slice. Yes, it costs more, but it's more forgiving, and it gives you that very nice boost to your stamina recovery. It gives you a very nice bonus of 30% when you kill someone with it. Then obviously we've got in cap as our ultimate on our front bar. Then on our back bar, I don't know why I've got double take here. Really what you want to have is shuffle. Then you've got resolving vigor, and then dark cloak. Now I've recently moved to this other morph because my crit chance is already quite high, and although the other morph gives you a guaranteed crit damage on your next kill after you cloak, this one gives me better survivability because after the invisibility ends, I gain minor protection, reducing my damage taken by 8% for 2 seconds. Now I know it doesn't sound a lot, but it is quite helpful. And as I said, Nightblades tend to be quite squishy, so every little helps. If you are happy with the other morph, you can take it, it's no problem at all. Then I've got poison injection and relentless focus. Now for my ultimate on my back bar, this is a flexi spot. You can use ballista, the bow ultimate, which is great. Don't use the other morph because it's easily interruptible. It's okay in PvE, but not in PvP. This one enables you to do damage through your ultimate while doing damage to your opponent at the same time. And it's really great when you're trying to kill particularly tanky builds, either heavy armor wearers or Templars, you know, Magicka Templars in particular. So I've been using this a lot more recently, because again, when you're in CP campaign, you will find a lot of people wearing full heavy. So this is gonna really help you burst them down. Another alternative is definitely Dawnbreaker of Smiting, or if you want to improve your survivability, you could go with Soul Tether. Now Soul Tether is your panic ultimate. It doesn't cost that much, so you will have it up most of the time, and particularly if you're outnumbered, you pop one of these, you stun everyone around you, you heal yourself, and so it is a great alternative for when you're 1vxing, when you're under pressure and you need to survive. So that's my skills. Something that I am leveling up at this moment in time is my Ledger Domain skill tree, and this simply because I want to max out the improved hiding bonus. I sneak a lot, so the more I can reduce its cost, the better. It's taking a while. I'm not one for grinding this sort of things, but I would encourage any Nightblade, any stamina Nightblade out there to really spend some time leveling up your Ledger Domain for this reason. And something else that I obviously strongly encourage to level up and max out is alchemy, to get the full benefits of medicinal use. Now I've not done this yet because again I'm a bit lazy, but it's on my to-do list. I'm gonna do it eventually within this month or the next. So yeah, I would encourage you all to level up your alchemy and your Ledger Domain as well, because they're particularly useful to Nightblades. Now before we move on to my champion points, let me just explain why I like using Senshi on my back bar. Now having Senshi on my back bar rather than both front and back bar makes it a bit difficult because you can only proc it by roll dodging while you're on your back bar, obviously. So this build is not the easiest to play, but it won't take you long to get used to it. But the reason why I use Senshi on my back bar rather than Eternal Hunt is because Yes, indeed, Viper gives me a great burst, but the problem is with Viper that it doesn't give me any weapon damage. So until the next proc, my weapon damage won't be that great, and certainly it's not great on my back bar. But this is why I'm using Senshi on my back bar, because when I roll dodge, I transfer that weapon damage to my front bar as well. So even when Viper is not proccing, my weapon damage is still decent. So that's the only reason why I'm using Senshi on my back bar. Now, if I were on a non-CP campaign or in Battlegrounds, I would probably swap Senshi for Eternal Hunt. Let me just find it. Yeah, because not only it gives me max magicka and two very comfortable stamina recovery bonuses, but again, you know, it also helps me when I'm in a tough spot, leaving that rune behind that immobilizes the enemy for 1.5 seconds. We all know what it looks like. What is this guy doing? I don't want to trade. Leave me alone. I'm recording. Anyway, this is why I am using Senshi on my back bar, because it provides that extra weapon damage even when my other sets are not proccing, which is absolutely great. Now let's move on to my champion points. Now I've had finally some time to experiment with them and to kind of fine tune my setup for this build. So this is what I would recommend, but at the end of the day, you do what you want to do. This is what works for me. So I've got 20 points into Warlord to reduce the cost of my breaking free. 16 points into Sprinter because I sprint and dodge roll a lot with this build. Then I've got 75 points in Munka for 14% stamina recovery. 43 points into Aconist for a nice 10% magicka recovery. Again, you will be using a lot of magicka when you know, with this build, both for fear and for cloaking and all that. Then I've got 56 points into tumbling to reduce as much as possible the cost of roll dodging. Then in the blue tree, I've got 27 points into Bless for 7% bonus to my healing done. This because Stamina Nightblades, well, Nightblades in general, but especially Stamina Nightblades, their healing is absolutely rubbish. So you need to pump it up as much as you can. Then I've got 20 points into Shattering Blows for all those shield stacking players. 16 points into Physical Weapon Expert, and 51 points into Master at Arms, and 23 into Precise Strike to increase my critical strike damage, 30 points into Piercing for a nice penetration, and then 43 points into Mighty. Then I've got in the red tree 37 into Ironclad, 52 into Resistant, 49 into Hardy, 49 into Elemental Defender, and 23 into Thick Skin. Now, because you don't take damage from dots when you are cloaked, you could take some of these points and put them into Elemental Defender, since you're a vampire and you take a lot of damage from fire. But it's entirely up to you. You're not cloaked all the time, so you're not mitigating all of your dots. So yes, it's entirely up to you what you want to do at this point there. And then nothing in here. So here is my build, Chimera, by far the sexiest build I have ever made. The one that I am enjoying so thoroughly at the moment. And I would encourage anyone to play with it. So if you like this kind of thing, if you like this build, if you like what I'm doing with my channel. Please leave a like and a subscribe to keep on following me. My subscribers are growing more and more, and you know, it's going so fast at a rate that I never expected. So I want to thank you all for your support, and hopefully I'll see you out there. So good luck and goodbye.